Man, this one hits heavy. Chicago streets are bleeding right now, and the city's in full mourning mode. Meanwhile, Lil Durk sitting in that cold federal cell, getting news that cuts deeper than any sentence could. THF Bayzoo, one of his most loyal Day One soldiers, a real frontline hitter, just got taken out in broad daylight on the west side. Word on social media says Zoo was at a junkyard, just handling business, picking up some car parts, when a car rolled up, doors swung open, and two dudes hopped out spraying. It wasn't no warning. It was an execution. Bayzoo got hit 3 times, one straight to the chest from a 7.62 Draco round. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, bleeding out from those brutal torso wounds. Despite doctors' efforts, he didn't make it. His closest homies, Duty Low, CEO Big 30, and Pooh Shiesty, flooded social media with tributes confirming the worst. This ain't just another Chicago drill tragedy. Fam, this is about loyalty, brotherhood, and watching everything Durk built crumble while he's locked in a cell fighting for his life. But before we get into how Durk reacted, we gotta talk about who THF Bayzoo really was, because this loss cuts deep through the entire THF and OTF family. Bayzoo wasn't just a soldier. He was a leader of THF 46, calling shots for one of the most feared sets on the South Side. THF 46, trigger-happy family, controls the 46 and Drexel area in North Kenwood. They're a hybrid gang, part Black Disciples, part Mickey Cobbers, united under one flag. And Zoo? He was a general making all the moves. What made Bayzoo different was that his story wasn't just violence, it was transformation. Dude had a savage past, connected to multiple bodies, even beat a murder charge once, but he wasn't pretending for the cameras. He was the real deal. THF been in non-stop wars with 051 Young Money, STL EBT, Jaro City 757, and Brick Squad. But they also built powerful alliances with O Block, 600, and most importantly, OTF. That's where the bond with Lil Durk got solidified. Not industry talk, but real-life loyalty born from the trenches. And then came Bayzoo's turning point. In 2018, after coming home from jail, he completely changed course. In a no-jumper interview, Bayzoo revealed that he and King Von both converted to Islam that same year. They took Shahada, started practicing faith seriously, and made a real effort to leave the street life behind. For a man so deeply tied to violence, that shift was powerful. He was still THF to the core, still handled business when needed, but inside, he was trying to evolve. That's what makes his death so tragic. He was finally walking a better path, and the streets still came calling. Now, as for Dake, this news hit him harder than anything else. Because right now, he's living through the darkest chapter of his life. On October 24th, 2024, the feds snatched him up at a Miami airport while he was about to board a private jet to Italy. The charge? Conspiracy to commit murder for hire, allegedly tied to the 2022 hit on Quando Rondo that killed his cousin, Lopab. If the feds are right, Durk's facing life behind bars. The man who once dominated the charts, toured with Drake, and collected Grammys, now staring down decades in a federal cage. And it didn't stop there. That same day, 5 other members got taken down in coordinated raids. The whole OTF infrastructure is under fire. The FBI claims they've got everything: wire transfers, flight manifests, surveillance footage, even witnesses. If their case sticks, it's over. The empire Durk built brick by brick, from the studio to the streets, could collapse entirely. And the most painful part? His watching it all burn from behind bars, helpless to stop it. While Durk sits locked in that cold federal cell, fighting for his freedom, the empire he built is crumbling piece by piece on the outside. The feds froze his accounts, seized his assets, and threw all his labeled deals into legal chaos. The money that once powered OTF's entire operation? Gone. The machine that took over a decade to build is breaking down in real time. And now, to make things worse, Durk's losing his Day One soldiers. Word hit that cell that Bayzoo was gone, and that's a kind of pain that breaks something inside a man. Imagine already fighting for your life in federal court, and then hearing your brother, someone who bled beside you in the trenches, just got gunned down on the same streets you both came from. That kind of pain doesn't just hurt, it rewires your soul. When the news broke about Bayzoo's death, social media exploded. But this wasn't clout-chasing grief. This was real heartbreak from the people who lived it. Duty Low, Bayzoo's best friend and OTF brother, dropped a tribute that went viral instantly. Their bond ran deep, decades of friendship, loyalty, and survival. You could feel every ounce of pain in that post. No filters, no performance, just pure heartbreak. Then CEO Big 30 out of Memphis showed love, reminding everyone that Zoo's impact stretched far beyond Chicago. His respect ran deep across state lines, across sets. Even Pooh Shiesty, still dealing with his own legal battles from a halfway house, took time to honor Zoo. That's how real Bayzoo's legacy was. When rappers from different cities, different struggles, and different lives unite to pay respect, you know the man they lost was solid to his core. But what's breaking Durk down even more right now is that he can't do anything. He can't show up at the funeral. He can't hug Duty Low and share that grief. He can't post a tribute, can't send a message, can't even drop a bag for revenge. He's stuck in that cell, watching everything unravel through second-hand whispers. That's not just pain, that's psychological torture. Being locked away while your people die outside, knowing you can't protect or comfort them. That's a different kind of punishment. The world's moving on, mourning, healing, and is frozen behind bars, powerless. Now the question everyone's asking is, why was Bayzoo even back in Chicago? According to street sources, it wasn't ego or recklessness, it was survival. When Durk was free, he took care of everyone. Only the family wasn't just a slogan, it was a lifestyle. He paid bills, covered rent, handled legal fees, kept the crew fed and protected. Zoo didn't have to hustle. Durk's success shielded his circle. But when the Fed swooped in, that pipeline dried up overnight. Accounts frozen. Assets gone. Everyone who depended on Durk suddenly had to fend for themselves. That's when Bayzoo made the hardest choice, to go back to what he knew. People close to the situation say he started moving product again. Just trying to survive. Just try and pay bills and keep food on the table. Not for fame, not for flex, for survival. He wasn't chasing the streets. The streets pulled him back in. And that's what makes this loss even more painful. A man who tried to change his life, who once found faith and brotherhood, was forced back into the same game that took everything from him. Now some people might be asking, why didn't Bayzoo just get a regular job? But fam, that's where reality hits hard. When you've been stamped as a THF figure, when your name carries that kind of street reputation, the corporate world don't want nothing to do with you. Nobody's hiring a man with that kind of record. And even if they did, you think a 9-to-5 could ever replace the income or respect he once had? Nah. So he went back to what he knew, the street economy, moving product, flipping weight, trying to keep his head above water. But the danger in that? When you leave the streets and try to come back, you come back weaker. Your enemies remember you. They don't forget faces. They just wait for timing. And the moment they sense you're not protected like before, you become a walking target. That's exactly what happened to that junkyard. Zoo was there picking up car parts, maybe personal, maybe business. 2 people rolled with him, probably for safety. But someone knew. Someone was watching. Someone waited for that perfect second to strike. Now everybody's asking, why did this even happen? Who ordered the hit? What was the motive behind this level of violence? The first theory making rounds online is that it was a drug deal gone wrong. Maybe Zoo was back in business. Maybe he was meeting someone to make a drop, and it all went sideways. Could have been a setup, could have been a robbery that turned deadly. But here's the thing. The killers came with a Draco, firing 7.62 rounds. That's not robbery energy. That's make sure you don't get backup energy. That type of firepower means this wasn't about money. This was personal, planned, and executed with precision. The second theory, and this one catching the most traction in Chicago's drill circles, is that it was revenge. Retaliation for DMG Lil Scoom's murder last month. Scoom was on the come-up, buzzing heavy, and when he got hit, the streets immediately pointed fingers at THF. People from his camp went online dropping names, throwing subliminals, and THF 46's name kept popping up. Whether THF was actually involved or not doesn't even matter, because in Chicago, perception is reality. Word on the block is, Scoom's people have been plotting since September, just waiting for the right time. When they caught wind that Bayzoo was back home, back active, and without OTF's full protection, that's when they struck. That theory explains everything. The Draco, the precision, the timing. This wasn't random. This was revenge, cold and calculated. A message to THF that payback always comes full circle. They didn't just want him gone. They wanted to send shockwaves through the whole set. Bayzoo might not have had anything to do with Scoon's murder personally, but in Chicago, guilt by association is a death sentence. Sometimes, you don't die for your own choices. You die for the flag you rep. That's the harsh truth of these streets. Now imagine what Lil Durk's feeling right now, sitting in that cold federal cell hearing all this. The guilt's eating him alive. Even though he didn't pull no trigger, even though he's locked up, you know he's blaming himself. Because deep down, he knows if he hadn't been arrested, Bayzoo wouldn't have had to hustle again. The money would have still been flowing. The cool would have still been protected. Zoo wouldn't have been standing in that junkyard. He wouldn't have been exposed. That's the kind of guilt that don't fade. It sits heavy. It haunts you every night. It got him killed. Fam. That's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. Bayzoo's loyalty didn't earn him protection. It earned him a target on his back. It made him a symbol, a message, a reminder that in Chicago, loyalty doesn't always equal longevity. He stayed 10 toes down for Durk when everybody else folded, and the streets rewarded that with a Draco to the chest. That's not loyalty paying off. That's loyalty getting weaponized against you. And for Dake, that realization cuts deeper than anything the feds can throw at him. Because deep down, he knows Bayzoo didn't just die in the game. He died for it. He died repping a brand, a brotherhood, a vision Durk built, but couldn't sustain once the system came crashing down. It's a tragic cycle. Loyalty becomes currency, and the streets always demand payment. Every time one of these brothers dies, it's like another receipt of how expensive keeping it real truly is. But let's be real. Fam, this situation forces everyone watching to question what loyalty even means anymore. Is loyalty about holding someone down no matter the cost, even if it leads to your own downfall? Or is it about survival, knowing when to step away, when to prioritize your own peace over somebody else's war? Because if Bayzoo's story proves anything, it's that blind loyalty in a system built on betrayal will always end in tragedy. Lil Durk sitting in that cell right now, replaying every decision, every lyric, every loyalty test that got him here. His realizing that the empire he built on brotherhood was also a ticking time bomb. The love was real, but the consequences were too. In the end, THF Bayzoo didn't die for nothing. He became the living, bleeding symbol of what happens when the code of loyalty meets the reality of survival in Chicago's streets. It got him killed in a junkyard, not a club, not a mansion, not a flashy moment on camera. A junkyard. That's where loyalty led him. Lil Dake couldn't protect Bayzoo because he was locked up. The money that once shielded their circle dried up, and the empire that was supposed to feed the family crumbled overnight. So you have to ask, what was all that loyalty really for if one arrest could dismantle everything they built? The streets will always preach that loyalty is sacred, that real recognize real, that you never switch sides. But they never mention how loyalty can mean your mama crying over a casket before you hit 35. They never say that sometimes being real just means dying first. That's a code everyone glorifies, until it's their turn to pay the price. For Lil Dake, this isn't just another headline. It's another wound on top of a dozen others. King Von gone in 2020. His blood brother murdered in 2021. Home is gone year after year. His freedom hanging by a thread. His empire fractured. His day ones dying while he sit behind bars, powerless to stop the bleeding. And now the question everyone's asking, will THF retaliate? Will Bayzoo's death spark another war, another wave of blood in Chicago's endless cycle? If history's taught us anything, we already know the answer. Retaliation is almost inevitable. And that's what makes this story so tragic. Because until someone decides the code isn't worth dying for, the streets will keep writing the same ending: loyalty, loss, and another funeral.